This is Arlene, and welcome to the Ask Arlene Show. I am your host, Arlene, and I am a life coach and a business consultant specializing in the area of momentum and peak performance. And so that means that I help you move forward in your business, project, or endeavor. So, have you wanted to start a business, but you just haven't seemed to get started? Or you already have a business, but you want to 10x that business and take it to the next level, but you just haven't seemed to get started. You even know exactly what you need to do, the steps that it would entail in order to move forward, but you just can't seem to make yourself do it. Or perhaps you wanted to write a book and you know in your mind what it is that you'd like to do, but you just haven't seemed to put the package together. Or lose weight, lose that extra 10 pounds that you know you need to lose. Well, you are in the right place today because what we've been talking about is helping people to move forward in that business, project, or endeavor. So what I've done is I've written a book, and the book is called The 10 Secrets to Overcoming Fear and Getting Unstuck After COVID-19. And this book is full of tools and tips and techniques to help you 10x that activity that you need to move forward in, or help you to put the plan together and actually get into action. So you might ask, well, why are you qualified? What makes you in this position whereby you think you can help other people to move forward in their livelihood or their endeavors? So for several years, I've worked in the political arena. I've worked in corporate America for large companies like AIG. I've been the CEO and president of several chambers of commerce, whereby I helped small businesses and large businesses to move forward, expand their net worth, and to 10x their activities. And so for several years, I've been working as a life coach, helping individuals to move forward in their particular projects. So I am here today because we are going through this pandemic and we need to move forward. Some of us are in a situation where we've lost jobs. Some of us are in situations where we just want to expand the business that we have now because we're home and we have time to do it. And so we've been talking about 10 secrets and 10 techniques that are going to help you to move forward. And so today we're going to talk about 2 or 3 of those secrets. So in the past, we talked about several. I'm going to overview some of the things we've talked about, and then I'm going to give you the 2 or 3 new tips and techniques that we're going to talk about today. One of which is persistence, because persistence is a key tip and a key technique in our journey to achieving our goals. And also number 10, which is to acquire a coach, a counselor, an aid in this process of getting up and moving forward. And the third one, if we have time to get to it, is called the power of your words. So many people who have been on this journey have wanted to accomplish something. And for whatever reason, they haven't been able to make steps or make strides to make that particular project happen. So I want to tell you a story about a lady in terms of persistence. There's a quote, a very, very powerful quote about persistence. And it says, it's actually a proverb. It says, no one who puts his hand to the plow and turns back is fit for service in the kingdom. Be strong and do not give up, for your work will be rewarded. So there was a lady who went to a judge. This is actually a biblical story. It's what you call a parable. And there was a lady who wanted to get something from this judge. And every day she would go into the judge and she would press and she would try to get her cause heard by this judge. And she would try to get the judge to say yes. But every day, the judge would come back with a no. He said no to her particular petition. But this woman did not get weary in her well-doing. She didn't get weary in her strides. She just kept going. She kept insisting that she be able to fulfill what it was that she was trying to achieve from this judge. And according to the parable, the judge started getting weary. He started getting so weary and tired of her pushing and her constant pressing and her constant persisting that he said, you know what? I'm just going to give this lady what she wants so she'll stop coming back to me. Because every day I have to hear this complaint, this plea. And so that was a key segue into what we're talking about when it comes to persistence. This concept that whatever it is that you're desiring, that goal, that project, that endeavor, don't leave it alone. So even if it seems like in the past you've attempted to move forward in it and then COVID-19 came up and you felt like you were pushed back maybe 10 steps or 20 steps, the concept is that sometimes you have to take a step back in order to take a step forward. And so we're here today, have started what's called a Mastermind networking group. And in this group, we're looking to help you to move forward with that project, business, or endeavor. So one of the key concepts is that you persist. But sometimes you need company. You need people that are with you on that journey to help you move forward, to help you get over that hump because of the challenges and the roadblocks and the things that are going on around. So I encourage all of you who have not yet visited that Ask Arlene Show Mastermind networking group to sign on and get some help and get some assistance and get some other people who are also going in the same direction as you so that you can have that momentum. And we talked about momentum as one of the secrets in the past. So how do you do that? You go to your Facebook and you go to Ask Arlene Show Mastermind networking group and just click on and join. And then you'll be a part of our group and a part of our community. So in addition to listening to the television show and being able to hear some of these tools and tips and techniques, you can go on there and sign and get more information as well as past shows and be able to move forward in a much more quick manner. Okay, so we're talking about persistence today, and we're about 10 minutes into it. But I want you to think of persistence, not so much the way people usually present it. They present persistence as a bull in a china pit. So you are just pushing and ramrodding and railroading other people to get your desires met. But actually, today we're going to talk about persistence in a different light. We're going to talk about persistence using the velvet glove. Okay, so many of you have heard of the story of Rosa Parks. And it wasn't a pandemic that she was going through, but she was going through a difficult situation as well during the civil rights movement. And many people look to her and say, wow, the way that she handled the situation of being persistent was excellent. She was told that, I'm sure most of you know the story, but if there is a young person perhaps listening that doesn't know the story, during the civil rights movement or prior to the civil rights movement, there were rules in place that said people of color, at least Black people, couldn't sit to the front of the bus. We had to sit in the back. And Rosa Parks was very tired one day and she sat. That's all she did. She sat where she wasn't supposed to sit. Now, why is this significant? How does this deal with this velvet glove that I'm talking about? Well, guys, keep in mind that she didn't fight. She wasn't exactly fighting with the cops. She wasn't fighting with the bus driver. She didn't pull out a gun and try to push or shove or intimidate the other people. She just sat. And that was her form of protest, just sitting and not yielding to what the desire was. So, how does persistence really, really move forward when we sit? Well, there's another concept that says, he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. So this concept that you can fight by just being consistent, by just sitting and maintaining your position. That's the way that I want you guys to think about persistence if you haven't already thought about it in that vein. So I've talked a lot on this show about previous positions and previous roles that I've had. So one of the roles that I worked in is in politics. So I worked as an executive or high level person for several different elected officials. And I worked in the DNC in Washington, D.C. So there was a staffer who worked in New York, and she was trying to advocate for a young lady who was homeless. So according to the laws in New York City, this woman did not really qualify for the shelter system at that particular time. And so the other associate who worked for the Bloomberg administration at the time, who was running the homeless program, said the lady didn't qualify. So the challenge was, how were we going to get this particular lady shelter for the night, which is what she needed? She just needed an emergency place to stay, as opposed to trying to transform the entire homeless system. Okay? So there was a route that this young lady took. And the route that she took was to explain the perspective of this particular lady and express that she wasn't trying to change the entire system, but she was actually looking for an exception for this young lady who had children. It was freezing cold that night, and they had no place to sleep. So even though she didn't qualify, they were asking for an exception based on her extenuating circumstance. She was a mother, she was pregnant, she had several children, it was freezing cold that night, and she was in an emergency situation. And the staffer said the way that she was able to accomplish the goal and persist and ultimately win was she stated her case and then she shut up. So she stopped talking, and the representative from the Bloomberg administration stopped talking. And the secret is, in persistence, whoever it was that spoke first was the person that was going to lose. And so, guys, the two of them sat on the phone, both silent, for quite a while. She stated her claim. The Bloomberg administrator stated his claim, and they sat in silence, and nobody spoke. And so sometimes we're arguing our case, or we're trying to persist in a particular area, and we just keep going. We just keep talking, and we just keep pushing, like the bull in the china cabinet. But the suggestion here, this new secret, this new tip, is to state your claim and stop. And so they sat on the phone in silence, just waiting. And guys, eventually, the administrator from the Bloomberg administration, after waiting and sitting there for minutes on end, said he would agree and allow the lady to have the housing for the night. It was a plebeic victory because it didn't change the entire system. It didn't really make miraculous strides, and now everyone who needs a shelter in the winter is going to get shelter. But it did help that one lady that night with her particular situation and with her particular challenge. And so, that having being said, we're going to take a break.
They say humans are social animals. They can't live alone. But you can live pretty well by yourself. I tell you, instead of feeling alone, it's better to have real solitude all by yourself.
I'd rather die alone than give up my phone. Don't need nobody's hand, I hold my own. You got patience, like the distance from the station to the store. Play with me like kids play with toys when they bored. Should've seen the signs coming from the Lord. It was us I was praying for, but I don't wanna be alone. I don't wanna be alone, baby. But I'm 19, 1 year too grown. So when you call me, I won't pick up your call or out my DMs. Don't ask if I'm home. I'm probably not home. If you like appointment, we can schedule that. You know I'm booked and busy, but Snapchat won't tell you that. So pray on it. Mommy always says pray on it. Remember when we walked down the Brooklyn Bridge so we could say we did stuff that we never did. We were feeling so grown, only big as kids. And I prayed to the Lord to forgive my sins. Yeah. So pray on it. Mommy always says pray on it. I really want you grown, but I can wait on it.
You distanced yourself.
I can wait on it.
Welcome back. Okay, today we're talking about persistence, and we're talking about the power of your words if we have time. And it all is couched together in this concept of coaching, and that you need to have a coach. You need to have a counselor. You need to have an aide, someone who is in your corner and supports you in your particular venture. So let's say your venture is you want to lose weight. You should find someone in your corner that is also on the journey with you, that wants to lose weight, or someone who has lost the pounds that can show you exactly how to navigate the pitfalls, or find a club or a group. As I said, we have a mastermind networking group, and it's called the Ask Arlene Show Mastermind Networking Group. You can find the link at the end of the show where we'll provide it for you, or you can just go to Facebook and type it in and look for the group. But this concept of having someone to walk the journey with you while you persist is invaluable. So guys, I wanted to run a 5K race, and a 5K is only 3 miles. But after running the 5K, I decided that I wanted to push and I wanted to run a half marathon. And I had never done it before. So what I was able to do is find someone who is a coach, and she's probably on now. If she's not on, you can find her because she's been on our previous shows. Someone who is able to coach you into accomplishing what you want to accomplish. So one of my challenges when I was trying to accomplish the marathon, the half marathon, was my knees. My knees would hurt. So she was able to tell me exactly what kind of compression product I should use in order to help me move forward. She was able to tell me about hydration in order to help me move forward. She was able to tell me all of the pitfalls that were on the journey in order for me to be able to do something that most people aren't able to accomplish. And so I encourage you on this journey of persisting, regardless of what it is that you're trying to persist at, to get a coach, to get someone to work, to come alongside you and help you along in the process. Okay, so another thing, in addition to having the velvet glove when it comes to persistence and not being the bull in the china cabinet, we said that we want you to stand still and wait out the storm, and be able to run again. So some people push so hard in the journey that they get stuck and then they fall off. They get sick. They can't go anymore because they've just done so much, especially when it comes to people who are in business. When we're in business, we kind of feel like we have to do it all. We have to run this race with agility. We have to be the chief cook, the bottle washer, the person who's doing everything. But keep in mind that if you want to be able to persist, the idea is to run today and then take a break and then take a breath. Breathe. Okay? And everything in nature is cyclical. So when it comes to the storm, people talk about the storms, the hurricanes in Florida. Any of you who've been in a storm, you know that in the eye of the storm, it's actually perfectly silent. It's perfectly silent. The sun comes out. It sounds like there's just beauty. There's just no storm at all. But those who have been in a storm know that that's called the eye of the storm. And the eye of the storm is actually passing through. And then just as the eye passes through, then you get the darkness again. You get the winds blowing, the rains, and it's complete terror. Okay? So keep in mind that one of the keys to persistence is that he who runs the race and stops is able to run again tomorrow. We think about the stock market. The stock market goes up, but then it comes down. There's a cycle. Okay? So when we're persisting, you want to be able to move forward But then you also want to think about yourself and how well you're doing in this journey. Are you drinking your water like when you're running the marathon? Are you putting on the compression sleeve so that you can keep going? Are you having someone come alongside you to support you in this project or in this process? For example, we're doing this show today, but I would not be able to do this show by myself. If I tried to be the camera person and I tried to be the person at the studio making all of the adjustments, and I tried to be the person that's here helping me and doing all of the lighting, it takes a whole group of people. It takes a village in order to accomplish that particular goal. And it's just like whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, you're going to need help and assistance and people to work with you and come alongside you to accomplish that particular goal, project, or endeavor. So it's very important while you're thinking about this concept of persistence that you're also thinking about it in terms of moving forward and then relaxing, moving forward and then taking a break. Okay. Because he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. So that's also an important concept. We said it's cyclical. We have nighttime and it's very, very dark, but then we also have daytime. And those of you who have gone through a challenge and had to push know that the darkest part of the journey or the darkest part of the night is just before the dawn. So it's very important that we get those breaks and that we get those people who can see ahead of that what we can't see and be able to illuminate us and tell us, listen, I know it looks really hard right now, but this is actually the darkest part before the daylight. So you're good. You should keep going. I was running a race in Brooklyn, in Prospect Park, and I'm able to run 3 miles, no problem. I've even run 5 miles straight, but I was in Prospect Park. I had never run before in Prospect Park. I run in my area of the Bronx. So I didn't know exactly how far I had gone. I couldn't gauge exactly how far I had gone. And I hadn't even done 3 miles and I stopped. And the person that I was running with was able to say, wait, keep going, keep going. You haven't even done the 3 miles yet. You just have a little bit over that hill. And I was like, oh, okay, I just need to go a little bit over that hill and then I'm done. I was able to get that additional steam and be able to move forward and be able to make it happen. So it's very important when it comes to, let's say you're looking for a job and you're finding it difficult in order to find that particular position, especially these days because of COVID-19 and the different situations. So I wanted to share with you a quick story because we only have a few minutes left, where I went to a new state. I had some challenges with my family member with a particular family member, and I needed to be there to help that family member. I had to pack up my things from New York City, and I had to go ahead and find a job in this new state. I had to find an apartment. I had to determine where exactly I needed to be in order to accommodate this particular family member. And most people would say, well, Arlene, if you need to find a job, you go to the newspaper and you look at the newspaper, or you send out resumes to find that particular job at that particular company. But guys, I'm going to give you a little secret in terms of persistence. In addition to all those things, because I needed to find a position right away and I didn't have the contacts, one of the secrets that we talked about in terms of accomplishing those goals and accomplishing those, moving forward with the overcoming fear and getting unstuck, we said one of the secrets was proximity, being close to the thing that you want or the people who can get you what you want. So what I did, in addition to mailing out resumes and doing the traditional things, was I went to the mall. And people said, you need to find a job. What are you doing going shopping in the mall? You don't have time for that. Well, what I was able to do is acclimate myself to the neighborhood by going to the mall. So in the middle of the mall is a whole host of people who are selling products, people who are trying to push their particular product on others. So the best thing that I did during that time was stop and talk to the people. I had no position yet. I needed to get a lay of the land to find out what was going on in that community, where the needs were, so that I could truly be an asset. And so, ironically, there was one person there who was trying to market his particular college. I hadn't met him. I didn't know him. I didn't know much about that particular college, but I stopped and I talked with him. And he was more than happy to talk with me because his whole purpose for being there was to sell his product to people who were passing by, and other people were ignoring him. So he was happy to talk to me about his product. But guys, this is the secret. As I was talking with him about his product, he was trying to find people who would attend his college as student. I was not a student, but I engaged him nevertheless. And we began to talk about some other things. After we finished talking about the particular college programs that he had, I asked him about himself. And I found out that actually he wasn't a college recruiter at all. He was actually a vice president of a major corporation, but he was friends with the CEO of the college. And he just happened to share with me.
Oh, you better not show that.
He was able to share with me that he could make a segue between me and the college president. Since I was new to the community, looking to win friends and influence people and gain a position, he said, why not? I'd love to introduce you. I'll make a connection between you and the people at the college. Well, what ensued was eventually an interview, not with the president, but with the person who was the ideal person that needed to interview me in order for me to move forward. And as it turned out, it was a mass interview. Well, ironically, the same gentleman who I had met in the particular mall was in the room. He was one of the people there listening and observing. And so I had an advantage over everybody else in that room because nobody else had someone who was there listening to them and listening for them. So guys, when it comes to persistence, you need to pick up your bootstraps, or what do they say? Tie your laces and move forward. Don't give up. If you've been challenged by this COVID-19 situation, I want to see you get unstuck. I want to see you move forward and get unstuck. And so there's always a way, regardless of what you've seen in the past, there is a way to move forward. So that's the end of that, guys. I am Arlene McLaren, your host of the Ask Arlene Show. You can reach me on the website, askarleneshow.com. You can also reach us and join our Facebook group. Guys, we want to work with you. We want to help you. We want to mastermind with you. And that's a really easy as well. You're going to go to bit.ly/AskArlene. Or you can also reach us via telephone. Okay? And be able to ask your questions and be able to hopefully move forward in that business, in that project, or in that endeavor. It's been great spending time with you today. And once again, we're signing off, but I also want you to know that your words are very powerful. And so as you're persisting, make sure that you're speaking good things about yourself and about others who are trying to accomplish their goals and their tasks and their projects. Thank you very much, guys. See you next week.
Things I'd be without you could stop the